Howdy, listener. This is Connor. Thank you so much for listening to our episode today. If you find these interviews enriching, one of the easiest ways you can help this show is to leave a rating and a review. If you go into your podcast player, for Apple Podcasts, if you scroll beneath all of your episodes, you'll find a spot where you can rate and review. If you just click that and add a review, that helps others find these impactful episodes and hear the valuable insights of the people who are the heartbeat of the Tucson community. So if you have a moment, please do that. It really helps the show. It really helps me out. Thank you so much for listening, and thank you so much for your support. Toodaloo. Welcome to T. Lokes, Tucson's local business podcast. I'm your host, L. Connor McEverly, and in each episode, we embark on a journey to connect with the passionate minds behind the businesses and nonprofits that make our community thrive. Join me as I sit down with the owners, visionaries, and change makers who pour their hearts into shaping the local landscape. We explore the challenges, triumphs, and unique journeys that define Tucson's business community. From the corner coffee shop to the innovative startups and impactful nonprofits, T. Lokes is your window into the diverse stories that make our city special. Tune in and get ready to get connected. This is T. Lokes. Howdy, folks, and welcome to T. Lokes, your Tucson local business podcast. I'm your host, L. Connor McEverly, and joining me via virtual chat today is the founder, owner, and operator of Yellow Rose Studios, a business where you can have your framing needs met by artful hands, a space for creativity, and a space to be creative. It is my pleasure to introduce to the show Jeffrey McBride. Jeffrey, how are you doing today?
I'm doing really well, Connor. How are you doing?
I'm doing well, thank you. I'm getting over a bit of a bug, but I'm on the mend, so everything's good.
That's always the better part of bugs, isn't it? Being on the men's side.
Exactly, right. Well, thank you so much for coming on the show. I'm really excited to talk about Yellow Rose Studios.
Thank you for giving me an opportunity to talk about the Yellow Rose Studios, Connor. I'm really excited about our interview today.
Me too. So with that, let's just dive right in, right? So tell me a bit about Yellow Rose Studios. What's your mission and what set you on it?
My mission is to help folks put art on their walls. And what that looks like is artwork that they enjoy, classical arts, memorabilia of theirs that they want to put into a shadow box,
right.
certificates, diplomas, any achievement pages that they want to honor themselves or family members, putting that up on the wall. So the mission is really to, help folks custom frame these items and put them in their space so that they can enjoy them visually, and to warm their heart and warm their souls.
Wow, that's a great mission. I love that. I love having stuff and art on my walls, and so I think like just bringing art, no matter what it looks like, right, is so powerful to a space. So I
sure is. That. Absolutely, I agree completely. So many folks have empty walls in their space, and they're missing opportunities to celebrate a thing, an idea or a color or a style of a particular artist in that space, so that when they walk into it, they relive a moment. Empty walls don't give you those reliving of moments.
That's very true. Or probably not many good moments, I imagine.
Right. Yeah.
So can you break down a little bit of like what your services and your offerings are?
Absolutely. So I do custom framing, and that includes anything from a simple metal frame or a ready-made from my floor that's already cut to size and already stylized. And I also have pre-cut mats on the floor. But it's also any of the custom style wood frames that I have to offer, anything from, a nice rustic, colorful, bold frame to traditional furniture finish style frames for diplomas, depths, frames that have some good depth to them for those shadow boxes, objects of familial, history, things like that. So, we start from scratch. We look at what you're bringing to the counter to my studio, and I talk with guests about what their inspiration is or the reason why they brought that in. And then we go from there. We kind of discuss what they want that piece to look like. Yeah. I give suggestions of what that piece can look like in considering where it's going to hang.
Yeah.
just to heighten it, to bring it up to a level of more intrigue or interest or uniqueness. Um, so yeah, starting from scratch in a custom scenario, you really can pinpoint a beautiful style that's poignant for whatever is brought to the counter. The gallery also offers gallery shows. I have art openings for local artists. I really pride myself in showing art that is very unique, that is very local,
Yeah.
stuff that isn't really found in the bigger galleries. My space is petite, so I kind of like to consider it a petite gallery. So I have
Yeah.
these petite shows, and again, just local artists that are, doing these beautiful works. I also have a gift shelves area. I call them artsy gifts.
Yeah.
Again, these are local artists that make these products, wonderfully created, pieces from the heart,
Yeah.
pieces from the soul. And that's what I really like to bring into the gallery for folks to cherish themselves and hopefully purchase to bring home to
Yeah.
their own space so that they can continue celebrating creativity and being creative themselves.
Absolutely. No, and I love that so much. Like inspiring people to be creative and then also like getting the community involved, right? Like it's not just a piece of beautiful art. It's a piece of beautiful art that was created by someone in this city, like not
Yes,
far away from you, right?
exactly. You got it.
That's awesome.
And what better way to, spend your dollar than supporting an artist, especially a local artist, because the arts are so important.
They
We
are.
go through the day of just living this, I don't want to say mundane because life is not mundane by any degree for anybody, truly.
That's very true.
But, pausing and celebrating and supporting local artists help continue getting that art out there in the world. Again, just so we can, better our spirits, by having these beautiful pieces around us,
Yeah.
and then again supporting the artists who make those pieces.
Yeah, absolutely. That makes me think of this saying, and I'm gonna absolutely butcher it. I think it was like a Robin Williams quote, right? Where he's saying like, lawyers, doctors, engineers, like these are all people that help us in society live, but without like artists and poets and actors and that creative side, like what is there to live for, right? Like what more is there beyond that?
Absolutely, and
Yeah.
a sad story of a person to be quoting for sure. Too bad he couldn't find more to live for, unfortunately, right? But
Yeah.
it's so true. Folks like lawyers and engineers, they keep our tech going and pushing
Yeah.
our lifestyles forward.
Yeah.
But artists help warm up that life, deepen our spirits, and deepen and heighten our vibration even.
Yeah.
I couldn't imagine a world without art. what a
No.
sad what a sad world that would be, where nobody's being creative. Certainly engineers, lawyers have to be creative in their way,
Right.
but you know what makes you feel, and this is not really art, but like a comforter, somebody created a quilt that you wrap around yourself. Art is like that.
Yeah.
It gives you warmth and it gives you comfort and relaxation, and we need those things to really balance life and to strive and to inspire us to go forward, for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's like a nourishment for the soul, right?
Yes, absolutely. In both aspects, in supporting artists and buying things that, you pause and you're looking at something and you're like, wow, this thing is really touching me. I have to have this in my life so I can continue being touched. There's that. And then being expressive yourself,
Yeah.
pausing and taking a moment to doodle, to
Yeah.
do a watercolor, to, assemble your charcuterie board. I keep saying that. Charcuterie is what we have in our house, a charcuterie. But stylizing something, like taking a moment to feel like you're expressing and being creative, that deepens the soul for sure.
Absolutely. Hands down. I mean, my art, like I have another podcast called Connor Reads Books, which is, kind of just like me reading books, right? But like
Yeah,
I also do some like original stories and radio shows. And the feeling I get like when I've accomplished that is just, it's hard to describe. It's just such a deep sense of accomplishment of being like, I just made something. And I think
right
this
on.
is really cool. It's not perfect, but it's cool. Hey, Tucson friends. Are you or someone you know a local Tucson business owner who's looking to expand their visibility, grow their brand, and engage more with their community? Well, I want to talk to you. Don't just be a listener. Come on the show and interview. Showcase your business. Tell us all about your story. Tell about the highs, the lows, and how you serve the Tucson community. We would love to hear what you have to say and hear the intricacies of your business. Humanize your brand, position yourself as a thought leader, and get in front of more eyes and ears. Click the link below and star on an episode. I look forward to talking with you. Now back to the show. Let's shift gears a little bit. Looking through like your website and your social medias, I've seen that, you've been described as a curator and a proprietor. How do you balance the business side with the creative aspects of your work?
Is there a balance? Is there such a thing?
Right.
I attend a somatic men's group every once a month, and this past one, the gentleman asked us to bring our word of the year, and I've never done that before, to the Zoom meeting, yeah. And I thought a word for me would be daring, and I'm bringing this up because that's really the thing. I guess the energy I utilize for that balance. I am running a business here, so I'm doing the best that I can to keep folks' minds on custom framing here on the east side of town. Again, yeah. It's worth the trip to come from, Silver Bell and Grant all the way over here to get custom framing done, because really it's unique. I bring a great, new observation to framing artwork. So, there's that, and that is the core of what I do here. But the other aspect really, and it's the cream of what I do here, it's having the gallery shows, yeah, in my art sessions, and having folks come in and feeling their creativity, watching them be creative, watching them being frustrated, yeah, during their creativity and breaking through. And at the end of it being like, look what I made, and I'm like, yeah, this is why I do these things. Right. And I get that same sensation here at the counter. Some folks come in picking up their artwork and they get teary. And I'm like, yes, I don't want to make people cry, but at the same time, yes, seeing people cry, it's quite a celebration for me, yeah, because it really tells me that we've done something beautiful here for them that they can take, yeah, with them. So, I just do. I'm daring in what I do. I'm daring. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, oh, another gallery show. What's that about? And I just try to get in there and do it, and, yeah, not really feel like, oh, I have to spend so much time this week for this and so much time this week for that. It all comes into, it just rolls into my sights, and then I have to do it. I have to just get in there and do it, knowing that that is what's bringing the business into the shop. It's, giving folks more reasons to come into the shop as well, yeah, besides just framing.
Yeah.
Things like that. So yeah, I'm just doing, I'm hoping that's a balance.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I can totally resonate with that for sure. It can be challenging when you're working in a creative space and, and making a business out of it. Yeah. So you mentioned, a moment of like sparking like a connection with one of your clients, right? You've showed them a piece of art and like it's touched them, and I think that's powerful, right? Like art is in my opinion, like an expression of our souls, and having that connection over a piece of art or creating that connection, it seems to me like it would be really powerful and profound. And, kind of with that on the mind, since you have started Yellow Rose Studios, what was like one of your first moments of achievement or like a milestone when you knew that rubber was hitting the road?
What would that be? What would be a milestone? There's just a lot of little ones. As far as, I think, feeling like I'm doing the thing that I should be doing. I think the moment I kind of broke ground in putting up my cottage shop in the backyard, that's when I first opened my own business, yeah, in 2018. And I dug into the dirt, and I put some incense in there, and I just had a moment of wanting to connect with my ancestors, the females, specifically my mother, my
Yeah.
Aunt Ivy, and the other beautiful ladies in my life,
Yeah.
Um, and this was the morning before Tough Shed was coming to deliver my shack and
Nice.
putting that up and starting my own, and then lining the inside of that Tough
Yeah.
Shed with the framing products, setting up the
Yeah.
workstations, the displays, and all that stuff. I think that would be, I think, the milestone that I feel really said, Jeffrey, you're on your road again.
Yeah.
I've always celebrated the fact that I was a picture framer and doing these beautiful things for folks and really creating artwork for them around their artwork that
Yeah.
they can hang in their house. I've always celebrated that and really loved it. But again, having that moment of like, I'm doing this for myself now.
Yeah.
And what I'm presenting to folks now is all me, and
Yeah.
they get to see the full me rather than just part of me designing for them. They get to see the whole energy.
Yeah.
I think that would be a milestone.
Yeah, absolutely. No, that makes a ton of sense. Like a physical established place where you got that business started and kind of like we were talking about with like paintings on the walls and stuff, like it was like a reflection of you as well and like your values when you have that space and you get to adorn it, as you would.
Right.
So
I
that
agree completely. Yeah.
yeah, that makes a lot of sense. We talked about like a sense of achievement. Let's maybe look at like the flip side of the coin for a moment. Like, what is maybe some misconceptions about what you do that people have?
I think the biggest misconception is, why should I picture frame? Why should I
Yeah.
go into a custom picture framing house at
Yeah.
all, be it mine or, any competitor or any other small business framing shop?
Yeah.
Um, I really think folks don't give themselves, how do I say this? We buy furniture so we can relax into it, and we don't just buy any old furniture. We choose designs that fit into our house, right?
Yeah.
And they stop there, and they don't consider the walls are a canvas. Their space is a canvas for them to also design
Yeah.
for their living space. So I think they shorten themselves and not contemplating what that can look like. And custom framing is the solution for that, right?
Yeah.
One solution, you could do other things like mobiles or reliefs or objects you could buy to hang on the wall. But putting art on the wall is, I think, just as important as buying that reclining chair and ottoman that you
Yeah.
can relax in, you know?
Yeah.
So I think they don't go that far. They don't bring it even further when they're considering, you know, uh, what's next in my design in this space. I got my furniture, I
Yeah.
got my rugs, I got my lamps, I got my tables and things on it. And then they're
Yeah.
like, well, that's good. And it's not, let's continue that idea. Let's
Yeah.
design for your eyes. And again, as we've
Yeah.
mentioned multiple times already, design for your soul and your heart.
Yeah.
That chair is going to be replaced 15 years down the road. That
Yeah.
artwork that you custom framed is not. If it's done correctly and properly the first time,
Yeah.
it's going to be there. You may move it, you
Yeah.
may take it down. Like I have so much artwork. It's like incredible. I got closets full of artwork,
Yeah.
and we cycle stuff out. We take stuff down and put these other things up so that we can continue enjoying all this beautiful stuff that just lifts our heart and
Yeah.
brings us joy. Um, so yeah, custom framing is the continuation of designing a space.
Yeah.
And you're missing opportunities to take memorabilia of your families, pieces of artwork, of posters that you bought traveling. You were at a street fair and picked up a watercolor that was really cute and you just put it on a shelf.
Yeah.
Um, take that further, take it to a custom framing shop, take it to Yellow Rose Studios Picture Framing Gallery so
Yeah.
that you can design that piece to put it up on your wall and you can enjoy that. It's very important. Again,
Yeah.
it's people don't feel like it's worth it, but it is. It's truly is worth it.
Yeah. No, I can absolutely hear that too, and like you were saying, like you mentioned, like the chairs and the furniture, like that takes care of some physical and some practical needs, but the art definitely takes care of this other sort of like mental, dare I say, spiritual kind of like part
Sure.
of you, right? And it's really
Absolutely.
interesting too. Like I didn't consider like, yeah, you will probably replace that chair in 15 years, but like these paintings, if framed well and taken good care of, right, they could last. I mean, I don't even know, right? There's like ancient pieces of
Generational.
like
It
art.
could be
Yeah,
generational, right? You can pass that down to your children, and they could pass that piece down to your next children. Depending on
yeah,
it is, posters fade,
that's true.
Um, artwork, fine artwork isn't as susceptible to aging as
Yeah,
some printed posters. So,
right.
yeah, it's something that can be generational for sure, especially that memorabilia that
Yeah,
folks bring in. This is my mom's, spoon set or
yeah,
handkerchief that she always had on her, and the family all knew that she would carry this particular handkerchief.
yeah,
Custom frame it, carry that story down to your kids, and then their kids can repeat that story and all that stuff.
yeah,
Yeah, a
absolutely.
chair is not like that, unless
No.
it's a colonial table, then for sure take it the road show.
Right. uh, that's funny. Coaches like you are already growing their brands and attracting new clients with professional podcasts. But between scheduling episodes and audio editing, starting a podcast might feel like another thing on your to-do list. At L. Connor Voice LLC, we make podcasting simple and effective, from recording to promotion, so you can focus on your clients. You already have the material. I can turn it into engaging podcast episodes that can boost your brand and expand your reach. Discover how easy it can be to launch your show with us. Schedule a free consultation. Follow my links in the episode notes. Reach out and let's talk. So, we've looked at this coin of, let's say, the past, some achievements, maybe some misconceptions, but now let's look towards the future. What are some goals that you are striving for now?
So the goals, I feel, it continue advertising the fact that there is a custom picture framing shop here on the east side of town. I feel pretty privileged to be, I think, the only one over here. So I'm still pushing for folks to realize I'm here.
Yeah.
It's not a plaza that gets a lot of foot traffic. It's very destination specific. People
Right.
come here because they know the shop is there, so they're just going to go to that shop and
Definitely.
then leave the business. It's called a business park, so it's really not a plaza at all.
Right.
I would love to give people reasons just to come to this business park and check out the other shops besides mine.
Yeah.
Um, that's a goal. And then to inspire folks to come in, and when they think of, what do I want to get my nephew? He's an artist. What would be unique in a gift to this individual?
Yeah.
I want them to think of Yellow Rose Studios for that reason and that purpose. Come here and check out my artsy gifts and things that you could gift to, that unique person that loves to receive unique things.
Yeah.
Um, and then classes, I really want to be daring.
Right.
Again, going back to my word of the year, being daring and not wait or even rest on the fact that some people arrive before to my classes. That's fine. I really
Yeah.
got to keep present in that idea. Um, Advertising classes, creating a class that folks will be interested in coming to.
Yeah.
I'm planning to do a paint your pet, or Picasso your pet is what I'm calling it. And that's
Nice.
just bring a picture of your pet, and we're going to, take our time to stylize your expression of your pet in a Picasso style. And
Nice.
that's pretty easy.
Yeah.
So I think just to keep the inspiration and spread out that knowledge that there is a place that you can come here and be kooky.
Yeah.
Being creative is not a pressure thing. You should be able to tap into that and feel relief, and
Yeah.
excitement and relaxation that you're creating something of your
Yeah.
own accord.
Right.
So really just what I do here, keep that energy out there and get more people to know about it and
Yeah.
things like that. That would be my future goals.
Yeah, absolutely. That sounds like a great goal. And, kind of going off of that topic of the classes you offer, Yellow Rose Studios offers adult art classes and painting parties. What is the most fun or unexpected moment you've experienced during one of these sessions?
Outside of just seeing folks really enjoying themselves and laughing and painting and, laughing with each other while they paint and
Yeah.
giggling at each other's artwork, or, admiring each other's artwork. It always boils down to seeing somebody realize that they are creative and they have the creative energy that we all have,
Yeah.
but seeing them allow it to happen and come out of themselves and it being expressed on whatever.
Yeah.
Um, I have figure drawing sessions.
Okay.
And one of my first figure drawing sessions, a gentleman came in. He's like, I don't know why I'm here. I only draw pencil, stick figures. And I'm
Yeah.
like, well, we're going to get you to go beyond the stick figure.
Yeah.
And it's a relaxed scenario. Everyone's just chill and
Yeah.
in the groove. And we were able to have him see the figure as it is, rather than him going into his mind, be like, this is what I think I should
Yeah.
draw. We got him to open his eyes and look at the figure more than him going into his brain.
Yeah.
So seeing what he saw and drawing what he saw rather than what he was thinking he should draw was a breakthrough for him.
Wow.
So he did walk away drawing a figure that has volume
Yeah.
and shape and not just a line with two sticks sticking out the bottom as legs, and I
Yeah.
love that when somebody can walk out of here and be like, wow, you know,
Yeah.
I try not to say that these are classes because we're all coming together to be creative at the same time. I am here to assist and help folks and give them some pointers and things like that. Um, so I gave this gentleman some pointers and said, look at where this is falling. This
Yeah.
shape is falling next to this other shape. And he responded to that. So he was able to really get into himself, let go of his pre-existing ideas,
Yeah.
and fall into a place of just discovering and seeing what he was doing on paper.
Yeah.
Um, and being really excited about that.
Yeah. Absolutely. No, it sounds like a really cool moment, like watching someone have this like breakthrough with their own
Right.
art and being able to
Yes.
facilitate that. That's super cool.
Yes.
Yeah. So there's a question that I missed that I think would be kind of fun. Can you share with me a memorable or unusual item that you've been asked to frame?
Yes. So I think about this all the time, and there's so many great things that folks bring to me, and they will always say, not always, but oftentimes, and I chuckle to myself, they say, do you think this is worth framing? And I'm like, well, you got into your car, you put it in your car, you drove here, so there is some worth there because you took the time to get it here.
Yeah.
Um, but a project that I did, there's two projects really in mind. One of them was this Inuit rug, this woven piece,
Yeah.
that was like 6 foot by 6 foot, this gigantic stretched rug around this wood subframe. One of the sides of the frame got broken laterally, so it was just cracked in half.
Yeah.
And this thing was super stapled down to this wood base. It would have taken me days upon days just to remove the screws and the
Yeah.
nails that were holding this rug onto this wood subframe.
Yeah.
And so rather than doing that, what I did was just remove the material off of the broken stretcher
Yeah.
and was able to chop down and recreate that stick and
Nice.
put it into the corners, rejoin them to the corners that the old stick came out of without having to undo the whole thing. And
Nice.
that's odd because traditionally you have to undo the piece from that subframe, recreate a whole subframe and restretch it for, really good support.
Yeah.
But with this piece, it made more sense to replace just the one rail while the artwork was still existing on the other three sides.
Yeah.
And that was a really cool piece. It turned out great and it looked better than it did before, of course, because it was broken before. And I do want to mention another project that I did many, many years ago. So, we know frames are either round, you could get ovals and squares or octagonal ones,
Yeah.
but all the angles are 90 degrees or less. A gentleman brought in a project and he wanted to take these two rectangle pieces, but put them together at a corner. So it's
Oh,
one solid piece. Imagine two squares, but overlapping at a corner, right?
right.
So I had to think about these inverted angles
Yeah.
coming together. And it was a metal frame, which was great because you can reverse the brackets and go at this
Yeah.
inverted angle rather than just your regular 90-degree angle. So that was interesting, having to chop down these metal frames accurately, according to the size of the piece. And then kind of like there's these units that, two squares overlapping. And I was using plexiglass because you can't really cut glass and it not just score all the way past, that overlapping square. Okay.
Right.
And so I had to score plexiglass real delicately
Yeah.
and accurately and make sure it popped off without popping and scoring through that intersection of the two squares coming together. That was quite the brainer project, but it came out really great. I was so satisfied and so pleased with the piece. There was 3 of those overlapping rectangle units. And it was really dynamic. It was really cool. It was a challenge, one that I've never had before, and it was very satisfying.
Yeah. No, it sounds like it. I mean, that sounds like quite a project. And
it was.
I think that really, like, both of these stories just emphasize like how impactful like visiting Yellow Rose Studios and having an artful hand to take on your custom like art and pieces, like you can make a unique situation come true.
Absolutely.
And that's really cool.
Yeah.
So, Jeffrey, it's been great talking with you today. I'm afraid we're going to have to start wrapping it up a little bit.
For sure.
I have some more questions for you. So, do you have any events coming up in the near future that people should keep an eye out for?
For sure. So before I talk about the events, I do want to mention, I know we're probably going to mention this later.
Right.
Visit yellowrosestudios.com. That's the best time. Go there, check out what I offer, past pictures of adult classes. And I want to also mention another step back, why I do adult classes, because kids have opportunities, I hope, still in school, in weekend events for them to be creative with their peers and all that stuff, where adults don't have that opportunity. So I really want to give adults a chance to discover that artist in themselves and give them a space to be creative as well.
Absolutely.
Yellowrosestudios.com. Visit the webpage. There's a space. There's 2 spaces in there for you to plug in your email address. And when you do that, you'll get announcements about coming shows, the art classes that art sessions that I offer, opportunities for you to come in and be creative. But ones that are locked down on calendar are, I'm having a closing reception for Susan Ferguson, my artist that's here in the gallery right now.
Nice.
They have beautiful woven art pieces and assembled these 3D super cool assembled units that could hang beautifully and very interestingly in anybody's space. Closing ceremony for Susan is February 28th at 5:00. It's a Friday. So we'll be here from 5 to 8. They will be speaking as well about their art and why they created these art pieces. And I mentioned yellowrosestudios.com, plugging your email there because Picassoing Your Pet will be coming in March. I don't have a date for it just yet. I have to create a piece for advertising. But that will be coming up in March.
Sweet. That's great. And you already knew exactly what I was going to ask you next, which was for those who want to learn more about Yellow Rose Studios, hear more of your insights, see the work you do, or get involved in a class or an event, where can they go?
yellowrosestudios.com.
Perfect. And folks, we'll have links to yellowrosestudios.com in the episode notes. Do you have any socials as well, Jeffrey, that people can go take a look at?
I have Instagram and Facebook.
Perfect.
Both of them are connected. Instagram it's Yellow Rose Studios _shop.
Okay.
And then my Facebook site is Jeffrey McBride.
Okay. And folks, we'll have links to those in the episode notes as well. So again, if you want to go and follow the socials, go ahead and check out the episode notes. It's all there for you. All right. Jeffrey, this has been a great conversation. Thank you so much for coming on the show. Before I let you go, I have one last question to ask you. And it's a question I ask everybody who comes through these proverbial doors. What is one thing out of the many that you love about Tucson?
The mountains.
Yeah.
I love the mountains. It's like a earth hug. I love having them here to orient myself on a daily basis. I know where I'm going. And just the desert landscape is so inspirational for so many people, be it they get out there to exercise, breathe in the beautiful air, or just to be inspired to paint these landscapes, responding to this landscape creatively, is just so wonderful. And it's such an inspirational landscape, especially the mountain.
Absolutely. I have to agree with you so much. Like, I love the mountains. Just looking at them every day. I mean, I get a good view of them, like out from my backyard. It's just so gorgeous.
It's north, south, east, west. We have them right back at us, which is beautiful.
Yeah, it makes it easier. Like, that mountain's north, and I know where I'm going.
Exactly. Unless you're driving at night, then we're not in such a good place.
Yeah, mountains kind of hide in the darkness, right?
Mm-hmm.
Well, Jeffrey, that is all I have for you today. Thank you so much for coming on the show and telling us more about Yellow Rose Studios and the passion and creativity that you inspire within our community. So thank you so much.
Thank you, Con. I really appreciate you giving me an opportunity to talk about what I do here and my love and, like you said, my passion. It's really great to express it. Having words about it is really a great opportunity, and I really thank you for that.
Of course. Of course. Well, take care, Jeffrey, and take care, listener. Toodaloo. And that's a wrap for another episode of T. Lokes, your go-to podcast for uncovering the untold stories of Tucson's local businesses and nonprofits. A big thank you to our incredible listeners for joining us on this journey of connection and discovery. I want to extend a huge thank you to Jeffrey McBride from Yellow Rose Studios for coming on the show today and talking to us about the many impactful ways that he and Yellow Rose Studios brings creativity to the people of Tucson, be it through custom framing or art sessions. So if you're looking for a space to be creative, or if you have some precious item that you want to make into a timeless piece of art, go ahead and check out Yellow Rose Studios and you will be in good hands. Show them some love and check out their links in the episode notes. A big thank you to Louis Sanders from Sound Monk Studios for composing the awesome T. Lokes theme music. If you enjoyed today's episode and want to stay connected with Tucson's vibrant business scene, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and leave a review. Your feedback is invaluable, and it helps us continue bringing you engaging conversations. As we wrap up, remember that T. Lokes isn't just a podcast, it's a community. Let's keep the conversation going on social media. Follow us on Facebook, Instagram, or our Discord channel and share your thoughts, suggestions, or even recommend a local business or nonprofit you'd like to see featured on the show. Thank you once again for being a part of the T. Lokes community. Until next time, stay connected, stay inspired, and keep supporting the heartbeat of Tucson. Toodaloo.